Scano. Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a while since I've been here. I've been missing you all sitting in this little square space. Nice to see everyone. Welcome to our environmental collective. And, although I haven't been here, I've been watching and I get to manage conversations and, people sending in messages, and people are appreciating hearing, just even watching it, maybe not live, but they're watching it after. And I think we're really inspiring people. I know I'm feeling more inspired and a little more confident, not afraid to try something in my garden. So let's just say hi to everyone, and then we'll get to why we're here today. We have some good conversations, I'm hoping, about urban growing and growing food in your backyard and an urban environment, and even including those shade tolerant plants. Nice to see you. Hey, Wendy from Sustainable Milton.
Good to be here. Do you want me to say a little bit about us?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm with Sustainable Milton. We're a fairly new organization, about 2.5 years old. And our goal, our mission is to make the town of Milton a more sustainable community by doing things like promoting biodiversity, participating, organizing community garden events, and really just getting out in the community and letting people know how we can all do better. So thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for being here. And Wendy, you've been such a big help. Your organization has been a great help for our space and place at Country Heritage Park. There, our Urban Indigenous Center for Hope and Peace and Wellness, and it's been bringing a lot of community members together. And your organization and you personally have made our space just beautiful. And so we really appreciate you over there.
We love you.
Oh, thanks. We love you. And Andrea, my other sister.
Hello, Jody. So happy. Sorry?
It's the green thumb sister.
Oh, yeah. Right now they're orange. I've been happily munching away on some oranges for my snack here, but I'm very happy to join the conversation again today, joining on behalf of Halton Environmental Network. So we provide climate change education and resources, and a large part of the work that we do is around sustainable food systems and making sure that the surrounding environment is as healthy as possible, including the soil, the water, the air that we breathe. So very excited to be part of this collective and spreading the love throughout Halton and beyond.
Right. Beyond. Right. We were saying that last night, the other day in our talk, that we had some people from Northwest Territories watching. We're reaching out. Like, people are really ready. They want to be connected. And so, which brings me to Kevin. I connected with Kevin. I seeked you and Amy out at McQuestion Farms through a friend of ours when we moved in to the space in Milton. And so I'm pretty grateful to have met you, Kevin. I think you're pretty cool guy. I can't wait to sit around a fire with you and play some tunes.
At the yurt.
Right? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Come on, do that again. Tell us about yourself, Kevin. I think you're a pretty cool guy.
I love blues harmonica, first and foremost. And yeah, I work at McQuestion Urban Farm. I've been farming organically for 20 years, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Brought me to farming and sustainability and all those great things. And down here at McQuestion, we are located in Hamilton. It is the largest urban farm, I believe, in the country. And so there are a lot of eyes on us from different cities looking at how we're doing things. We're on 2 acres, and we're located in East Hamilton, Woodward, and Melvin. And we are providing food. We're in a food desert, and so we're making nutritious, organic, locally available food for like a wholesale price to the community. So yeah, it's a really great space, and we really enjoy what we're doing. And we have a weekly market every Saturday. People can come down for. yeah, we just ask folks maybe that aren't in the same economic paradigm that folks are in our neighborhood to tip generously if they're going to buy the food at wholesale. So anyways, but yeah, that's what we do. And yeah, we're looking forward to this season.
Yeah. And you know what? I think that's great. And I think that's the right way to do it. You know, there's one of the things that I learned really early in my, I want to say, healing journey towards like really moving into who I am as Jody, is not being afraid of asking for what you deserve, right? And knowing your value, right? And that's exactly it. Sometimes we get that as people, you know, I want to say we're an overexploited culture and people. And sometimes those organizations those communities that are doing really good stuff, you know, to build up their community, they get exploited. So I really love your transparency and openness to be able to say, hey, we know we're doing good stuff, and let's support that. So we're here to support you, Kevin, but we're also here to learn from you. And same with Andrea and Wendy. You know, it's so important to create these collaborations. And since we started this, you know, other people have been saying, like, how do we get in? How do we have these conversations? You know, we want to get involved, and what can we do to help? And so, you know, I think it's just keep showing up, right? Keep watching, and then maybe even take it in your own community and have the courage to invite community in, you know. And I think that sometimes an old way of thinking is that we're just like, we're just going to do this ourselves. Cause then, you know, the minute we get involved with other people, we have to then start, you know, really having those conversations and being a little more flexible, because we don't always have the right answers. Right. So we're talking about urban. I feel like I came in here and I was just like, hey, I'm back. Move over, people. So come in and, you know, talk about, you guys picked these titles. You know, I'm a learner here. And you know, that I know that urban farming and, you know, planting is really important right now. People are really awake to that. So how are you going to start this conversation today? Urban growing.
Well, I think I'll jump in. Kevin deals with a couple of acres. I deal at the community garden level. Wendy's on a learning curve. And, you know, let's take it down to the residential household level. Let's talk about what people can experiment with or grow or try out. And Wendy's got some interesting adventures to show us as well. So I guess, yeah, we just wanted to remember that not everybody has lots and lots of land to deal with, and we need to deal with sometimes some tricky situations, and growing in shade kind of can be limiting, but you know, maybe there's some things that we can try that we think need full sun that maybe don't. So yeah, we just wanted to bring it back down to the residential level.
Yeah, I probably have the least experience in this because I've been more large scale, but I certainly know what I plant along my tree lines and stuff like that for shade. One thing I'll start off with, if and this is my plug. I swear I should get like shares in this company or something, but yeah. This is a Grow Right filter. When I started farming down here at McQueston, I was making compost teas and trying to boost the microbial health and biology in our soil, and realized that city water has chlorine and stuff in it that is kind of not good for all that microbe stuff. So this is a Grow Right filter. They're about $45. And it takes all the bad stuff out that might otherwise inhibit biology from happening. So it's 150,000 liters of water it does. So it goes a long way. And yeah, that's, you know, the base is water for everything.
And I will plug the rain barrels. If you don't think you can do a rain barrel in your residential property, please investigate, because there are so many different styles, and they don't have to be front and center. There are ways that you can run something from your diverter over a distance. If you want to hide the rain barrel, you can get them that sit flat against your house instead of the big round ones. So I try and encourage people to collect rainwater if they can. If they can't, if you want to use a tap, then yes, definitely look into the filter that Kevin was just showing as well to remove that chlorine. But I like free water, so.
Yeah, of course. But so that's for a hose. So what if you're in a condo, right? And you can't do either?
Fill up a jug of water and let it sit overnight to let the chlorine evaporate.
Oh, yes. That's what I do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And bring it up to room temperature too, you know?
Yeah. I saw that from my mother-in-law. She used to leave like jugs of, like just the water jugs out.
Yeah.
And then she watered plants like that. That's great.
In my house, everybody seems to take a glass of water to their bedside table at night. So I go around in the morning and I collect all the remains, and that's how I used to water my house plants.
That's what I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got buckets in the basement where I'm growing some of my stuff, and I just fill them up, and then once they're empty, I fill them up again. We have a rain barrel, but I have to raise it to make sure that I've got the pressure to take it out. And Kevin, yes, you should get shares. I did buy one of those water filters. And then I realized, though, that I'm in Old Milton and we are on a groundwater. So we don't have the chlorine, but I'm sure we have all sorts of other little things that I'd like to get out of my water. So, yeah, water, hugely important.
So, Kevin, you intrigued me before I get you guys on to the next topic. What do you line your trees with? What do you plant along your trees?
Well, so if I look at things from a ethnobotanical perspective, meaning where the plants originally came from, a lot of stuff like strawberries, raspberries, they would grow in shade on the tree lines and stuff like that. So if I have, I really encourage everybody to get a good hard copy book of some kind of encyclopedic type of gardening. Anything that's, I've got one right here. I think it's propping up my camera. Complete guide to gardening.
Useful in so many ways.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, like a lot of these books that are more the encyclopedias will tell you where the plants come from and how they were originally grown. But so in my tree lines, if I am growing something like lettuce in the summer, I'll put those so they get half shade. Swiss chard. Generally, it's if you're growing for a leaf, that is a good way to look at it, that you can plant that in some shade. And if you're growing for the fruit, with the exception of like some of your brambles, the raspberries and strawberries, then they want full sun.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Yeah, and it's it's kind of like what's our vocabulary word of the day too. So you've got your canopy coverage, so your bigger trees, and then start to investigate what are the understory or a little bit of shade tolerant plant. So doing some research on will it survive in the understory, meaning it'll get a bit of shade and be quite happy.
Yeah, and I think sometimes those, and I mean, Google or any search engine is our friend, in that if you look up things that are deterrents, like some peppermint will deter mice and things like that, you're generally most of your perennial herbs that are going to be there, all things, or they're going to be the first things up in the spring to start to deter the pests and that from coming in. You can strategize what perennial herbs you're going to grow along your fence line or wherever your shade is. Usually that's where the rodents are coming in from, the tree lines or your fence lines and the wild zones. Yeah, it's another good strategy.
Have you ever heard of human hair keeping away the rodents? Is that where all yours has gone? No, I'm just kidding.
I've been a weirdo that's been buying pantyhose, and then I go to the barbers and ask for hair, and they're like, "Why do you want the hair?" I'm like, "Well, I'm stuffing them in pantyhose and hanging them from little stakes in my garden."
So it does work, right?
It's
somewhat
debatable. I had real bad deer problems that were eating like, upwards of 10 grand in produce. It was a real, and because one of my dogs died and they weren't patrolling anymore, and it might do something, but that is what they say. And then the other thing was wolf pee, but I mean, where are you going to pee?
Yeah.
If anybody has a line on it, please.
Right?
Trying to buy some.
Oh, I'm sure they sell it in a spray bottle form at one of the
Somewhere.
stores. Yeah.
This is what I hear. I just don't want to be a bigger weirdo than I already am.
Yeah. No, that's okay. We like you. We like weirdos. Okay, so what's next?
Well,
Yeah.
Wendy, you could do some show and tell.
I'll do some show and tell. So I'm sure a lot of us just love to go through seed catalogs, spending our time, right? What better things to do? So, oh no, Jody, you're shaking your head.
No,
So
that's
I
fine.
found this thing called walking stick cabbage. And the picture of it is, and it's survived so far, but they grow very, very tall, and actually they've been used to make walking sticks. So I got this from Brother Nature is the company. Apparently it's heirloom, tasty and fun plant to grow in the vegetable garden. And people have been making walking sticks from these plants for centuries. Who knew? I'd never heard of them before.
Wow.
So I'm going to see how they work, see if I can make some walking sticks from them. And then you you eat the plants, like you eat the leaves from the bottom up. And plants that overwinter will increase in height the second year. So I guess when we talk about permaculture, hopefully these things will come back. But they're a total experiment. I'd never heard of them before, so I thought that they would just be fun things to try. So I have a few more show and tells, but I'll leave it there for the moment.
I got to know though, how long for a walking stick though? Like how long
get one?
Like how long will that take to grow?
I don't know.
A long time?
Probably.
Maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
The second year.
But by that time I'll need one. So we'll see.
I know a lot of
I'll keep
like
you posted.
I've had kale that'll be like 4 feet tall by the end of the season. As long as you keep on picking those leaves and encouraging it to grow up. One other thing with the urban gardening too, there's ways to, if you have really shady spaces, there's ways to reflect the sun. Like you could go as far as mirrors. Then a broken mirror comes in handy because you can just kind of, make it so that it's not sharp on the edges. But reflective foils, there's different fabric and things that you can get to help reflect sun to where you want it to go, which is another good strategy. And then the thought of trellising up. Mm-hmm. So things are still going to grow in the shade if you've got like 6 hours, but you might have a space where there is more sun and you can trellis things over along a fence line and mm-hmm. things like that. I mean, I'm jealous of urban gardening in the sense that, one, you don't have the pest pressure that we have generally on the farms, mm-hmm. and you have access to water from your taps a lot more. So those are two big advantages. And again, get creative with how you save your water is mm-hmm. definitely, because you can irrigate so much easier. And thinking about the gravity fed situation, if you can get your rain barrels up off the ground, and then you can push water down through drip lines if you're trying to conserve and that kind of thing. Pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what you meant by that. I didn't see. I'm like in my mind going, what does permaculture mean? What is all like it? And it takes me a little while to.
Yes, you missed the conversation. So permaculture is permanent agriculture. Blend the two words together, you get permaculture. So it's perennial crops. So trees, fruit trees, raspberry bushes, blackberries. It could include annual crops, but you want to mimic nature, essentially.
Okay.
So you're looking at how do you layer different types of bushes, ground covers.
Okay. Yeah. So what are you working on are you preparing for urban farming right now, Andrea? Urban growing?
So I'm really jealous of Kevin's situation. We would love to have an urban farm in Halton that, we could have a space to replicate. And I know Country Heritage Park keeps saying, well, here we are. So it's just, we're working towards creating a place where people can come and learn. And yes, we would love to produce food on this scale, but it's as much about education in my mind as it is around the actual food production piece. So as an organization, that's what we're trying to work towards. And in the meantime, we're supporting community-based growing efforts, whether it's at allotment gardens run by municipalities, so your community gardens, church-based gardens, neighborhood gardens, school gardens, wherever people want to grow food. That's where you'll find me.
Yeah, you're great. You do great with that work and mentoring, organizations and groups that want to do that work. And so, very grateful that you're doing that work, Andrea, because it is, I know there's a lot out there that needs to be, renewed right before we even start. And that's kind of what we're doing over in Country Heritage Park with a portion of that 2 acres that we have, is we've been being guided by Terry at Mohawk Seed Keepers, which is awesome. But we do really need to talk about like what else we can do, with a part of that garden, because we are, putting the compost and the cardboard and that kind of stuff. But we also know that we can actually purpose the other side, grow on the other parts of it too. But you guys do wonderful work in Halton, and I'm really glad that we know you. That's for sure.
I'm happy to know you.
Oh, thanks.
You're such a ray of sunshine.
Oh yeah. Looks like it today, eh? I don't know why I'm getting so much light here. But Kevin, when I saw McQuestion last year, because that's really what led me to your farm out there, was that, right when we arrived to Country Heritage Park, it was like all of a sudden McQuestion was put on my radar. And I was like, oh, I got to go check these guys out. And within 2 days, I was like, what exactly, are you guys doing here? And it's amazing stuff, what you're doing out there. And I think that, if there's anything that I could say right now to anyone watching, go check it out, go volunteer there. There's so much learning, and the space is beautiful. And that's why we created this opportunity here, because if we're in collaboration with people like McQuestion Farms and what they're doing over there, then we just, make sure that we can learn from them, bring it back to our community. And then that's what collaborating is all about, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody's doing it good, let's go hang out with them. Yeah. I want to hang with those people. Right. So what are you doing right now, Kevin, in your gardens?
Well, I'm readjusting tarps that keep blowing off. We've been using the tarping system to keep the weeds and the green growth down, so that when we peel them back, they'll be ready to go. The plastic tarps that aren't the woven poly act as a barrier for rain right now too. So it pushes the rain off and down out of the beds. So the moisture levels are a lot better, because when you get anaerobic conditions, meaning no oxygen and waterlogged soil, that kind of kills all the microbes. So we're doing that. And I still haven't found the greatest way to hold those tarps down. I had to do it on my farm again. Sandbags, heavy things, and keeping them really tight. And otherwise, we're in the greenhouse and we are potting up tomatoes like crazy. So we have little tomatoes that are this big, and then we're taking them out of their small cells because they're really crowded, because I did like 6 or 7 per cell, and then putting them in bigger ones. And then the Tetris puzzle factory of moving them all around so that we can fit them in our small greenhouses. I think we're around 30,000 seedlings-ish. And we've run out of space, and we got things outside, and now we're doing the thing where we have to bring them inside overnight, because we're going to have a couple of cold ones, and then bring them back out. So all my cold tolerant crops are kind of outside. So a lot of the leafy greens and the onions and leeks and those kinds of things that are outside right now.
Mm-hmm. Can you not use like stakes or something around your, to tighten that, or wrap those and stick them to? I know you guys had a lot of those bricks when I was there last year.
Yeah, there's still some bricks around, so yeah, we can use the cinder blocks. It's just really hard to lug all that.
Yep, for sure.
like I said, I just built a yurt and there were 6,400 pounds of cinder blocks and I handled them like 5 times in like a week. But anyways, the other thing, like we had these staples that are 8 inches long. But when the soil gets wet, even though we have like really hard clay, so if that's dry, it's not really going to upheave. But yeah, I realized that even when I went closer with the staples, if a bit of air gets on there, it just goes
Yeah.
and goes
And
right
rips
down.
it right out. Yeah.
So yeah, we have hay bales too. So that's the other strategy. And if we put the hay bales on top, and the beautiful thing is when I put them on top of the tarp, when I peel the tarp back, put my transplants in, then the hay's right there to mulch with. So we just got the hay, but I'm thinking that's going to be a good strategy because in the wet spring, they're nice and heavy or painfully heavy, depending on how you see it.
Mm-hmm. So going back to the urban farming, right? Or growing, right? So let's give a couple scenarios for home people. What do you think? Like I know Wendy does her little seedlings. She's got them. And then so somebody's listening right now and maybe says, okay, well, I have a good little space on my deck or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Balcony. How can I start?
What do you want to plant? That for me is almost as important as anything, because if you're growing stuff that you don't care to eat,
okay, yeah,
why are you doing it?
Yeah. So that's a good way to start, right? What do you like to eat?
Yeah.
Right? What do you like to eat? What does your kids like to eat? What does your family like to eat?
And what do you like to eat at the store that you can only get in a large quantity, where maybe you don't want a large quantity of, you don't want to buy the salad in a huge size, but if you had freshly grown salad greens, you would eat a salad every day because you can just cut the amount that you want and eat it in the volume that you want.
Yeah. Hence herbs, right?
Herbs.
Easy, great start.
Yeah, we accidentally planted lemon balm a little too close to the salad greens. And so when my kids went out to cut it, they cut some of the herbs as well. And they suddenly discovered that they love eating salad and don't need salad dressing because the herbs in there just give it that nice, fresh, light, summery flavor. And, who knew teenage boys could love salad so much? So,
yeah, that's awesome.
I often think about when I'm trying to grow for families that are going to support us in a share capacity, and it's just as relevant for a small backyard garden or a large backyard garden, is how many pounds? You got 52 weeks a year. How many pounds of carrots do you eat a week? Do you eat a 4-pound bag, a 5-pound bag, 2 pounds, and kind of work that? And then it's important too to know that it's timelines. So if you're growing beets, they're 55-day. You grow enough beets, and then you can transplant beets. So you could start some more seedlings to then always keep on. You take those beets out, and you've got another timeline of beets to go in. Maybe not the same spot, but you're always planning that lettuce heads are coming out. Then you're putting some beets in.
Succession planning, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
And then, looking at it's as simple as the seed packs will have the dates to maturity on it. One other thing too, I was thinking is that depending on what trees you have around, that's an important thing too. Black walnuts and locusts are not necessarily good for the soil. They have an allelopathic effect that stops things from germinating and growing. And I know that we had a greenhouse that was beside the black walnuts, and we had gone along and cut with it's called a ditch witch, but you can just use a shovel and break up the roots along because they started to grow in and under the greenhouse. So every about 4 years I had to go and stop those roots from growing underneath our greenhouse because it was only thing that grows under black walnut specifically is your allium family, so your leeks, your onions, your green onions, that kind of stuff, chives. So that's another thing to look at is what kind of trees you have growing around. And again, that's when the internet is our friend and you can find those things out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had to do some research on black walnuts for exactly that reason. In South Oakville, some of the community gardens, the black walnuts have grown up to the point where they're starting to affect people's plots of growing space, and they're finding a lot of their stuff doesn't grow, and they finally clued in that it's because of the black walnut. So the town is giving them permission to move to different plots, and we'll probably help them transition those community garden beds to something that is black walnut friendly.
Right.
Or gets along with the black walnuts.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because if you just cut those roots so that the roots, then you're just forcing the roots to grow on the other side. In an urban environment like that, it can get a bit dangerous because then your tree's not going to be anchored in properly if you're cutting the roots. So that's another thing to consider. A little bit trickier. On a positive note, the black walnuts are big anti-parasitic, antifungal. So they will, it's a beautiful, delicious protein to have. They're just a little bit hard to crack the shells on. But yeah, I mean, everything has its place. And we all have parasites. If you have pets, you have parasites.
Right. Oh, thanks, Kevin.
That's nice. I know. Yeah, he's that guy.
I know too much.
Finish us off with some harmonica in a minute. But I just want to, before we go, just want to comment that, all of these organizations that are represented here in this collaborative are really important right now in this time where people are unsure about the future of our food and, sustainability, security, all of the things why we started this conversation. And I believe that this is just the beginning. We have, Sustainable Milton, that's in Milton, McQuestion Farm, Urban Farm, that's in Hamilton, Halton Environmental Network in Halton, and there are so many more out there. But, each one of us, our organizations in Grandmother's Voice, we want to collaborate, right? We know that people out there, there are people that want to garden and they don't know where to start. You just got to show up. Just reach out to one of these organizations, find out when and how you can. There's so many ideas. Bring your corporation in, go do some, team building, go help a community garden and just, really start from there. Just even from watching today, we really appreciate you joining us. And we're doing it because we know that it's time to just show up and support each other. So I think you can go to anyone's website, find us, either one of us on social media and reach out and just, let's continue to build capacity, continue to grow together. Right. Is there anything that any of you wanted to ask or add before we listen to Kevin take us out with a bit of harmonica, get us feeling bluesy?
The one thing I'm not jealous of the urban farmers is the squirrel and the raccoon problems that West End Hamilton, even East End Hamilton, I've seen the most elaborate. It's like you've jailed in your whole backyard to keep the raccoons out. They're just so
humanized. They come out with like their whole kit, just come in their forks and knives and sit right in your garden.
Pretty much, yeah. Dinner
right? Time. Yeah. I was gonna say, Kevin. So we've decided the September 30th and October 1st weekend we're doing the concert at Country Heritage Park. So let's circle back for that conversation, and let's come on, play us something.
Sure.
Thank you all for joining us. This is great. A good midday lunch and learn.
The beautiful thing about this instrument is that it came from agriculture. Like the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll, and this came out of the fields in the South. And anyways, here's a song called Help Me. I'll just sing one or two verses of it. You gotta help me. I can't do it by myself. Ooh, baby. I can't do it by myself. You help me now, darling. Oh, I'm gonna find somebody else. Well, I'll plant the seeds. I'll pull the weeds and I'll plant the field. I'll bring in a heel, but oh baby, I can't do it by myself. Solo.
Woo! That was hot, Kevin. That's fun. I'm coming to the next circle.
Yeah, I've been rehearsing with a band that's even they're better musicians than I am. So yeah, it's pretty fun.
Wow, that's so fun. Let's do it. Let's do a big musical fundraiser. Awareness, something. Let's do it.
Yes, it's my new theme song for sure. I can't do it by myself.
Hey,
Right?
that's great.
How fun. It was really great to see you guys here. Thank you for all of the knowledge that you share. And for those of you who are, wanting to venture into the dirt, go for it. Right?
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jackie.
we'll see you next week.
Happy growing.